Hello, welcome to the RTÉ Olympics podcast. Delighted to be joined by Diallo in Paris and also by Irish chef de mission Gavin Noble. How are we all doing?
Not too bad now. Good few last few days, let's just say, from an Irish perspective.
If you think they've been a good day, imagine how the chef feels. You're cooking, Gavin, you're cooking.
Uh, Someone's cooking. I'm following along and I'm here for the ride. But today was another good day, a couple of days in a row, and it's important to have a good start to the week. It's the championships, it's important that we have success early. It lifts the team, and yeah, it's been a wonderful couple of days.
Yeah, to paraphrase Craig David, on Monday, Mona won a bronze in the 100 meters breaststroke. On Tuesday, Daniel Wiffen won a gold in 800-meter freestyle. On Wednesday, Kelly Harrington secured bronze at least. On Thursday, Philip Doyle and Darragh Lynch won bronze in the men's pair rowing. On Friday, today, Paul O'Donovan and Fintan McCarthy won gold in the lightweight double sculls. And you probably can't do it, Gavin, but I'm going to speculate. On Saturday, Rhys McClenaghan wins gold in the pommel horse and Kelly Harrington upgrades to silver. And on Sunday, Daniel Wiffen wins the 1500 meters freestyle. You'd take that, Gavin, I think, would you?
Yeah, like this is like for someone like me to be sort of leading the team is it's a privilege, but like all the credit goes to those athletes themselves, their coaches, their families. When someone like me turns up in their lives, I just have to turn up at a really high level. And I think from my point of view, we're supporting them to new levels. And just a medal doesn't happen just in this week; it happens months and years before. So this is almost like a celebration of all of the work that they've done. And it's been even to see so many other Irish fans and everyone when you go out to the crowd. Raf, you're out today at rowing. There's just a sea of tricolours. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Just all across the stands, and I think the two rowers, Fintan McCarthy and Paul Donovan, of course, they referenced that as well in their post-race interview that I think they thought they'd seen a bit of orange that was supposed to be the Dutch. As it turned out, it was just the other part of the tricolour. Like it was just it was a sea of green, white, and gold all the way across. And yeah, it was an amazing atmosphere. Even from the moment when I walked in, it was kind of obvious. I think people were going there in expectation, knowing what Fintan and Paul have done before, and also the fact that there were three finals as well. And let's not forget that, yes, the medal tally is going to be the exact same from the rowing as it was in Tokyo, but there's more finalists in terms of A finals with the lads who got bronze yesterday, and then the two boys from Fermanagh today, and then of course Aoife Casey and Margaret Cremen. So that's doubled the finals tally as well from the rowing from the last Olympics. So that's a sign of progression and depth right there.
Absolutely. And but look, let's put the historical context on it here as well. This is, our fifth medal, two gold, two bronze, and a question mark. That brings us to five rowing medals in total in the history of Ireland's Olympic history, and it equals the record, as Raf said, a gold and a bronze last time. But I think maybe it's more the more historical context here, I suppose, is that Paul O'Donovan becomes the first Irish athlete to medal at three Olympic Games, and himself and Fintan have emulated Pat O'Callaghan and become the first Irish athlete since the 1930s to successfully defend a gold medal. Gavin, these two lads, they've rewritten the history books, but like when you just like to do something that hasn't been done by an Irish athlete in the guts of a century at the Olympics, it's very special. And obviously, Paul has done something that no Irish athlete has done before in winning medals at three Olympics. It's when we go back to the aftermath and the post-mortem of the Athens Games, and to think that we'd be looking at this kind of level of success, people back then, they wouldn't have believed it, would they?
Yeah, I think I like to start off with Fintan and Paul, like to do double back-to-back Olympic gold medals. It's incredible. Like just I can't. It's hard even to sort of articulate in words how incredible achievement that is. And then I feel sort of not bad for Fintan because he's done it back to back. But then you add in Paul one more medal on top of that. Like he's our greatest ever Olympian. And we know there's many more Olympics hopefully in Fintan, so he has a challenge there. But that what Paul O'Donovan has done, we can't underestimate it just in the history of sport in Ireland. Incredible achievement. And Kelly Harrington too, let's not forget, in terms of, she's a back-to-back medalist. We don't know what the colour it is, but regardless of what the colour, she's almost on a bonus round at this point in time. So what those athletes, and those two athletes, they're the biggest stars of Olympic sport, no doubt about it. And their star, it continues to shine.
Yeah. Raf, paint us a picture then of what it was like down at the water, because watching on TV, the fans, and looking at the photos afterwards, the number of Irish fans, I think somebody said it looked like, like Hill 16, on a big day in Croke Park. The atmosphere seemed to be electric. And let's be honest, we've all watched our share of rowing from World Cup regattas and European Championships. It's not renowned for having an electric atmosphere, but that today seemed to be off the charts.
Yeah, certainly, because of course where they start off, it's quite far away from the stand. So it's about when they come from halfway, maybe 3/4 of the race, that they start coming into view properly. Obviously, there's big screens there which give you a picture of what's happening. But just as they were at that stage, they had gone into the lead. I think that inevitability was kind of building up, and that's what people had come for. So the emotion, especially among the Irish fans, as you looked across, and I think the section I was in, there was a lot of sort of Team Ireland delegates and that. I think we knew what was coming. And then, of course, when they cross the line, a huge moment. And then afterwards, when they come out, because when they come out of the boat, they come out onto the shore pretty much in front of us. And you can see Paul and Fintan really fist pumping and really taking it in. And of course, when the podium ceremony happens, it's also right in front of us. And the vantage point I had, of course, was the tricolour going up. I think there was a bit of trouble with the Greek flag as well. I think on that video I posted, I think whoever was putting that up had a bit of a mare, but I didn't notice it until someone pointed it out afterwards. But that was all emotional. You could hear Our on the Vian ringing out and people singing the anthem. It was just a lovely moment the whole way through. But I think built, because I think there was that sense of inevitability. At least from my point of view, I went there in the expectation that they are going to do it, because that's what they've proven over a long period of time. And I think most people who were there, they knew that was what was to come. And then if there were extra medals on the day, that would have been a bonus.
Yeah, it is a special feeling, Gavin, even watching on the TV as a journalist or a fan at home, when Our on the Vian is played and the tricolour is raised highest. It gets you. It gets you in a very certain way. And as we can be a dispassionate sports journalist at times, and sometimes I can shrug my shoulders at the result of All-Ireland football and hurling finals, because I need to get on and do the next bit of work involved in reporting it. But there is something about Our on the Vian playing at an Olympic game. So you've heard it twice now, La Défense and down at the water today. How does it make you feel? Is it relief for you, or is it something more positive?
No, definitely not. Like, it's at the swimming the other night, it did hit me in La Défense whenever you see the tricolour go up, and there's an American flag, there's an Italian flag underneath it, and though we shouldn't forget we're a small little nation, and we're fighting above weight all the time, so to see our flag go up and those mighty giants of the sporting world, underneath us for that brief moment in time, what a moment in time. And even today, to see the two boys sing the national anthem on the TV, to see the best thing for me today actually was the two boys coming off the water and just seeing the joy they had. There was like a release of energy. And Paul, who's quite stoic, he puts on the act on TV and he's funny and all, but he's quiet and he's quite stoic and he thinks a lot, outside of the camera. So to actually see that release of energy was really the highlight of the day.
Yeah. How's the mood in the village, Gavin? And I'm kind of interested about the rhythm of it. Like, have athletes who have completed now, have they moved to the Irish Cultural Centre? Have some people left Paris altogether? Because seasons aren't over here. People might have other events to be planning for. Obviously, Paul himself is planning on rowing in the World Championships in a few weeks. So I'm just interested in the rhythm of it, and how I would imagine the mood is kind of, you get moments of ecstasy, obviously, Daniel Wiffen, etc., the boys today, but then you've got boxers coming back in, obviously, who are feeling hard done by, deflated, sure, heartbroken. I wonder how do you manage the mood, or is it just you just have to let it be what it is?
Let me start off with Paul first. I met him last night. I went out to the hotel, and he was more worried about where he was moving tonight than if there was going to be an erg. set up outside for him to continue to train. So the mood in that camp and the rowing camp was super chill last night. And they've been here before and they were going to get it done. But yeah, it is a roller coaster. It is a roller coaster of emotions. It's our biggest ever team. So for every medal winner for the 6 or 8 or whatever we'll end up with, there's 133 people, so there are people who are disappointed, and some people are disappointed. I don't think they should be as disappointed. But this is the Olympic Games. It's you have a dream, and everyone dreams of competing at the highest level. So the boxers, there's a little bit of disappointment in that camp. And you have to manage it. Like the hockey guys today, they ended on a high just about an hour ago, beating New Zealand 2-1, and it is hard. Like it's not all medals, it's not all roses, and that's the hardest thing, I guess, for me and my team to. Well, it's easy to talk to success. Like it's super easy to jump up and down and share the hug, but what's harder is what to say in those moments when when the people come in with their head hanging low. And that's what the Culture Centre for us is all about. That's what the Team Ireland Ball this year, the homecoming, all of those extra events that we sort of have to remind them that what they've achieved and how proud we are of them. This is the global event, pinnacle of sport, and there's no losers here. That there's people who have won, and there's people like Jack Marley who have learnt. For the future. And I think the good thing for us that they don't realize is the level of enthusiasm and energy that there is back home in Dublin. And I see it in social media, and the athletes themselves sort of switch that off. And I know when they all head home, they'll see how proud everyone is. And the result at that point, it's inconsequential to the inspiration that they've provided everyone over these past couple of weeks,
Yeah,
and I would just add as well in terms of the boxers, the amount of togetherness they've had, because I was in the venue last night and the night before when Kelly secured her bronze, or at least a bronze, and the number of fighters who've been eliminated who are there, in the same section I'm sitting in, showing togetherness, not really showing any disappointment about the fact they've been eliminated. So that's been kind of good to see, that they've been consistently supportive of the ones that are still involved.
Yeah, it's been a nice part of the team, actually. Those boxers, especially, and Zor and Damien and James and Lynn, and like they're also throwing every punch, and they're taking every punch, and they win together, and they go out of the competition together. So that's a nice culture that they have, very tight knit group, and all eyes now to support Kelly over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, it was a disappointing day again there, obviously, in the boxing with Michaela Walsh going out, but she's going out to the European champion, and there was no upset with the decision, or how they came to the decision, which is good. The golfer McIlroy is in the mix there. Shane Lowry's probably playing for pride, is his own description of it. The rowers, obviously, otherwise, Ross Carrigan and Nathan Timoney finished 6th in their final. Margaret Cremin and Aoife Casey came 5th in theirs. And Ellen Walsh, brilliantly, she's in a semi-final later tonight in the 200-meter individual medley, which is great. But I suppose, Gavin, the two kind of disappointments today outside of the ring would have been for the show jumpers who finished 7th and were definitely in the mix going into the final round of jumping. And then for the sailors, your heart really goes out to Robert Dixon and Sean Wadilov, two cancelled races yesterday, and then the final today, they had a false start, I guess. I don't know if that's the sailing terminology, and they had a poor start and they couldn't claw it back. And having been in such a good position all week, there's echoes of obviously 2008 and Annalise Murphy, 2012 and Annalise Murphy there, and it's tough for those guys, and they're on their own to an extent as well down in Marseille. Will they be coming back to Paris?
They will be coming back to Paris in the next couple of days, and they've got Eve and Finn who've just started their campaign. So again, they're a tight knit group down in Marseille, and they've got good support around them. I was chatting with James O'Callaghan there this evening, and it's hard. Those are the hard moments that they will miss. They will rue the opportunity that the Olympic medal is gone, but at the same time, there's nothing they can do about it at this point in time. They'll debrief. It'll stay with them for a long time. That's not sugarcoated. But at the same time, this is sport, and this is at that high level, and just one little mistake does cost you. And the show jumpers, number 1 in the world going in, I guess, a couple of faults. Daniel Coyle has actually been very impressive. He's gone clear both in the qualification and today. So they have another outing. They've got another individual on Monday and Tuesday, so they're not out of it yet. And Daniel, especially from the team, is showing good form. And if he can get round in his individual in clear, he's an aggressive rider. He's got a great horse legacy. Then it's not over yet, So there's still they'll switch off. And when you've got something else, when you've got another event to come, there's no time to dwell, and there's no time to dwell for James O'Connell and the Sealand team either. In terms of they'll have to move on pretty quickly because they have to have their full energy behind Eve and Finn in the next couple of days.
Yeah, and Raf, just finally to yourself then, you've been out in the North Paris Arena, Paris Nord Arena a good bit. What's the sense you get from the team there, and also the journalists around? What chance do they give Kelly Harrington, and what is a rematch of the final from Tokyo in 2021?
Oh, I think there's a sense of confidence that she will. Well, obviously, as you said, she's beaten Beatrice Ferreira before, and very famously, I remember that it was a Sunday morning, I think early hours, obviously with the time difference, and she has the experience. I still feel, as she's gone through the rounds, that there's a bit more in the tank that we are going to see, and that may well be tomorrow in the semi-final. I think there is a sense that, yeah, she will secure silver. Obviously, look, it's fingers crossed, and you can never really predict these things. Obviously, what we've seen with a lot of the boxing that's happened so far, you can't make any predictions, especially in terms of the refereeing and the judging point of view. But there is I think there's a quiet confidence that she will get to another final. Certainly has the experience.
Fingers crossed. And just finally to you then, Gavin, just curious, have you got an erg for Paula Donovan at the Cultural Centre?
If I didn't have one last night, I need to get it before tomorrow night. That's my job. That's our job here. We just have to find a solution. And he's double Olympic champion. He calls the shots. So as an erg, he wants. Rashid Alaleki is looking for a hairdresser, and all these little things. That's our job to find a solution to all these things, big or small. I just last word on Kelly. Tomorrow is the gold medal fight for me. And it's those two. They're the two best boxers in that division by far. So she knows that. The Brazilian knows that. So we're just encouraging all the Irish athletes. We're all going to go down there, shout a bit louder than we have before. But I've really confidence that she's going to do. She will equal Fintan McCarthy in double back-to-back.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Keep it cooking, chef. That's what I say. Gavin, thank you. Raf, thank you. I'm going to be chatting to Mairead Kavanagh now in a minute, looking ahead to Rhys McClenaghan's final tomorrow. But I think the final word should go to our back-to-back gold medalists. Here they are earlier in the day, talking to our colleague Claire McNamara.
Medals around your necks again. You seem to really enjoy that.
Oh yeah, it was the crowd. If anything, like, it's all Irish people. There's so many Irish supporters. It's more than I expected, to be honest. It was out of this world. Yeah, class.
Big smiles, jumping for joy. Such a difference to Tokyo. You were wearing masks, there were empty stands. This is really special.
I mean, it's really special, but when it comes down to it, this is the same distance course that we have for training in Cork. Believe me, there's just a big grandstand and a fancy paint job, so there's no difference there. But you're right about the fans. All of the team tents are on the top of the boat shed down below the finish line. So when we were kind of getting ready to warm up and go out in the water, we kind of looked into the grandstand and I saw a whole load of green there, and then I was like, there's some white supporters there as well, and a few of the Dutch crowd you could see standing there. When you're standing in front of them then on the podium, it turned out it was just the green, white and orange of Ireland. The place was absolutely packed with Irish supporters. Everyone else was drowned out, so really happy to see that great support from home.
And the Central Statistics Office has worked out that 1 in 725 people from Skibbereen are competing at the Paris Olympics, compared to the national average of 1 in 39,000.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. And to see everyone here as well, I think I probably said it earlier, but they've just been so supportive of us through our whole careers, and not just people from the club, our friends, our family, everyone who's come out. We just can't thank them enough for everything.
Paul, I know you like to play it down, but this was no fluke. Your longevity in this sport, the titles, the medals, where does it come from?
I don't know. I think it probably just means I'm getting older. Something more than anything else. I've been around too long. Fortunately, very lucky to still be healthy, fit, and here competing, and lucky to have Fintan behind me in the boat, who was absolutely on fire this morning, dragging me down the course. So it's been a good week.
Lightweight double sculls currently not in the programme for LA, but I'd say, would you fancy going in a different boat? 4 games, make it a nice even number?
Yeah, it's definitely something that's on my mind at the minute. So I must kind of go home and write out a plan for the next few years and see how to fit that one in.
What's the plan for the next few days, Fintan? Will you get time to enjoy this?
Oh yeah, we had our last weigh-in ever this morning. Well, probably. So I think Paul might have a few more coming up, but I'm done. I'm done weighing in, so I'll get some nice food, some nice beverages, and see what happens.
The French said they were going to take us out for some baguettes and wine downtown in Paris later on today. They had a good race to finish out the B final, winning that there. Two good lads, they beat us in Lucerne last year. Disappointed they were not to make the final in their home crowd, but they were cheering us on this morning before we went out, and they're two good lads. The whole lightweight field, they're all very friendly lads. So hopefully we'll try and meet up with as many of them as we can later on, as well as a few of the Irish.
And incredible times for Irish rowing. 2 more medals here, 5 overall in rowing in history.
Yeah, and I think it just, it's a testament to us all down in the rowing centre. It's such a great group of people to be a part of, and we're all great friends. So, win or lose, I think we're all enjoying ourselves together and enjoying each other's successes. And I think there's probably a few people who were hoping for more, but I'm sure their time will come in the future too.
Congratulations, guys. Enjoy every minute.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks very much.
International gymnastics judge Mary Cavan has joined me now just to look ahead to Saturday afternoon's pommel horse final, where Ireland will be hoping to add another gold medal to the truckload that we've been collecting already by our standards. At 4:16 p.m. tomorrow in the Bercy Arena, Rhys McClenaghan goes into pommel horse final. Mairead, he's had a long wait.
He has indeed, but he's quite used to that. At World Championships, it would be qualification the first weekend and finals the second weekend. So it's nothing new to Rhys, but obviously new to everybody watching the sport as well. It is a long wait, but he's, as I said, well rehearsed and well used to that.
Yeah. So, how do they treat it just like a normal training week? Because it's you're in an Olympic village. There's a lot of action going on. Like, we've kind of spoken to some other people about how athletes deal with the change in circumstances and how you're not alone in a hotel or whatever. I wonder, do you think it would be hard for Rhys or any gymnast to kind of focus like they would at a World Championships or another event which isn't the biggest multi-sport event in the world?
Yeah, I suppose it is different, obviously, to World Championships or Europeans. And you've seen on social media, he has enjoyed a bit of downtime. He's meeting other athletes, and that's nice. He'll have his training session every day. The whole week would have been planned out before he even arrived at the Olympics, because the expectation was always that he was going to make the finals. So that's the way he would have planned. So all his training sessions would have been scheduled in and booked in, and so it's just a working week for him. But he is getting a bit of downtime, and he is relaxing, and it's nice to see he's taking in the atmosphere of the games, because that will all add to the adrenaline for Saturday as well.
Yeah, and of course, this is his second Olympics. He would have fancied himself for a medal in Tokyo as well, and it's been well documented at this stage. A finger a couple of centimeters out of place, and it didn't happen for him, which can happen obviously in any gymnastics event. It's a matter of millimeters. But obviously, the pressure of an Olympics final probably came to bear there. How much of an advantage is it for Rhys now, do you think, that this is his second Olympics? He's had, this will be his second Olympic final. He's been in this arena already as well. He should be, do you think, a little bit calmer than perhaps he was in Tokyo?
I think, he's had his lows and he has had his highs. He's a lot more experienced coming into this games. He's double world champion, double European champion. Before he went into Tokyo, he had come third in the World Championships, but was just starting to climb the ladder, I suppose. Whilst Rhys had set his eyes on gold, we can see how cruel the sport can be. His routine is over in a minute, and one wrong hand placement and he's off, and that's it. That's his medal gone. So it is like sport can be very cruel, but I think going into these games, he's learned from the errors that he's made. Rhys is and his coach Luke do take learnings from everything. When he fell there at Europeans in Munich, it was after Tokyo and all of that. And he said, look, I need to get my head in the right space. Something's not working and I need to sit back down and go back to basics. He did that, and he came back in Liverpool and won the World Championships and won in Antwerp then last year. So I think he's a lot more experienced and a lot more consistent going into these games, so a lot stronger position in my view.
Okay. It's that consistency which I think he is renowned for, or cleanliness in his routines. 15.2 in qualifying, which was it was as clean as a whistle. Level with USA's Steven Narodczyk for the top score on the day. As we discussed last week, for anyone who listened to it, now it's a matter of how much you want to tweak it, how much do you want to go for raising the difficulty while trying to maintain that level of accuracy, because they're the two things you're scored on. How much tweaking do you think Rhys is going to do, or is he he's not going to go with the same routine again, is he?
Yeah, no, he won't. He will push it, and he'll have to push it. It's an Olympic final, and he'll up his difficulty 2 or 3 tenths for sure. I definitely, Max Whitlock went out in the team final. In qualification, he did a 6.6 difficulty score, and in team final, he did a 6.9, which we'd expect him to do tomorrow as well. But he still only scored in the team final 15.266. So his execution was about 1.75. So he was even though he went up that 0.3, he lost a lot more in execution because he went for the harder routine. And that's what happens. That's what you have to juggle, the difficulty with the cleanliness. So what's, I suppose, different for Rhys is that he can up his difficulty. I was looking at some routines that they sent me there from the training gym during the weekend, yesterday and again this morning. And, clean as a whistle, and it's a strong routine. You'd expect him to be coming out on a 9 execution score. So just a mark in deductions. He was 1.1 in deductions in qualification. I personally would think he should be in the point something of deductions because he's so clean and he can do that. He's achieved that before. So if he does that, say if he gets a 9 execution, he goes to 6.5 or 6.6, he's on a 15.5 or 15.6, which, that's a podium place guaranteed, but you'd expect it to be there or thereabouts for a gold,
Yeah. How much of an advantage is it for Max Whitlock and Steven Narodczyk that they were competing during the week in the team event, because they're from Great Britain and America, kind of powerhouses of gymnastics, and obviously taking part in the men's finals? Is it a big advantage in your opinion, across, to have, a couple of more competitive outings during the week?
I think there's good and bad. There's good in that it gets you out in that arena, it gets you under pressure, and you have to deliver. And both of them did deliver for their team. So it certainly gets them that experience. On the other hand, then, you get tired, you get that high and then you get that low afterwards and you're exhausted after competing and the adrenaline rush. So, Rhys looked after himself all week, have his plan, have his routine in place. And yeah, I would say there's pros and cons. Certainly, Oleg, who is in from the Ukraine, was in the all-around final also. So he's at 3 days, in a row that have had major competition, major pressure. That has to kind of bear home at times. So you'd hope that being well rested will add to it,
Okay.
and add to him doing well.
Okay, cards on the table time, Mairead. Give me your bronze, silver, and gold here.
Oh, well. So I have a little theory in that, and it could be absolutely, totally wrong. But
we love it. We love a theory here, Mairead.
Yeah,
Lash it at us.
So Narman Kurbanov is from Kazakhstan, and he's extremely keen as well, and he can produce a very, very high difficulty score, 6.6, 6.7. He's up first, and I think that's a very good draw for Rhys because he's clean. So if he goes clean, and we don't want him to go too clean, but if he goes clean, he's a tall gymnast, he looks good, then the judges, it'll be the first routine the judges will have seen, and they'll have been told in the meeting beforehand that they have to separate the gymnasts, and the only way you can separate them is on the execution. Award clean routines and take deductions for ones that aren't as clean. So you'd expect him to get a good execution score. So they'll have posted a good execution score. And then second, Max will go. And Max is a totally different gymnast, really difficult routine, but he's not as clean. So they'll have to pull it apart. So they'll have to separate those two gymnasts. Up third, then we have Laurent from Netherlands, also clean. So again, another clean gymnast, another clean score. The judges will be ranking them as they're judging in their head the execution, or maybe that was better than this and this is better. So they'll rank them in their own head. So they'll have to post another clean score for Laurent if he goes goes clean, and then Rhys is fourth. So you have the cleanest pommel horse worker coming up as fourth after the judges getting a good run of clean versus not so clean. And if he does what he did in training, they'll have to go the highest T score that they can award so far, which will put him ahead of everyone else. So I think the draw that he's got is fantastic. You have Stephen then from the USA coming fifth. And he, again, also clean, but not as clean as Rhys. So you'd hope that he'd be under Rhys. So for me, I think, of course, my heart and my head would say Rhys would be first. I think Max second, and Stephen Narostic, or not Stephen Narostic, sorry, Norman Kurbanov third.
Okay.
Yeah, or Narostic, yeah, one of them. Either Stephen or Kurbanov, either USA or Kazakhstan, and third, and Max second, and Rhys first. Yeah.
Okay, wow. So we'd love that. We'd love that. And yeah, and Narostic being squeezed out. That's interesting. I like the way you've given us a little bit of insight into how the judges are kind of instructed to look at this, and then how it kind of plays out. And then all, like the first, if Max Whitlock was first in, it could be a whole different kind of kettle of fish. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, totally, because Max was first up in Tokyo. And
I
if
remember
the judges,
that huge score.
The judge, he got an absolutely huge score. So the judges had nowhere to go on the execution score afterwards. Like they'd gone out, in my opinion, they'd gone out too high. But this, you know, the judges, the execution judges will be absolutely told, you know, you have to separate them, and that's their job. And you have the top judges in the world there. So I just think the draw is in Rhys's favour. For him to get the execution score that he deserves, he just has to go clean. But I suppose what you need to remember here is that all 8 competitors have scored over 15 this year. So all 8 competitors could technically win this event.
Yeah,
so it all comes down to tactics and who holds the nerve at the end.
Oh, look, it's I'm really looking forward to it. It's such a tense event to watch. If any of you out there have not watched the pommel horse final before, get in on it, because it doesn't go on for long, and the tension is almost unbearable, and we've a good chance for the gold medal. What more do you want? It's 4:15 tomorrow on RTÉ2, and Mairead will be there offering her expert opinion. And you can obviously follow it also on the RTÉ News app and the RTÉ Sports website. Before I let you go, Mairead, a word on the goat with her necklace, Simone Biles. I really enjoyed this last night, and I loved it even more because it wasn't a cakewalk. Her uneven bars was not good, and it gave her great Brazilian rival a sniff. But then, well, she started with her vault routine, the Biles too, and then she finished with a floor routine where I think she was about 12 feet in the air at one stage. It was utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, it was just something else to watch. An amazing final, and yeah, that on bars she messed up big time. She had a fall, like she didn't come off the bars, but in the marks that she lost because of the error that she
lost all momentum, didn't she? And she
did bend legs, so you know she would have lost about the mark there straight away. So when you think that she won the qualification by just under 2 marks, you're kind of saying, wow, this is going to be close. But she showed the competitor that she is. She went on to beam. She was first up, and she just nailed it. So she was 0.2 ahead going into the last rotation. And like Rebecca Andrade, it's a pity because Rebecca Andrade is an amazing gymnast. And if Simone wasn't around, she'd be hailed like absolutely wonderful, because she is wonderful and she's beautiful to watch.
She's like the Mayo football team of gymnastics, I'm getting the impression.
Yeah,
and Simone Biles is the Dubs. She's just born in the wrong era.
Absolutely. And Simone, just like her floor routine, you could see the whole way through the competition on floor while she was last to go. She just sat there cool out, like, you know, she's done a lot of work on her mental health and a lot of work on, you know, dealing with pressure. And no better person, and God, she nailed it. And she's the first gymnast ever to over the age of 20 to win an all-around title in gymnastics. So she's setting records everywhere. And it was the first time ever that the Sunisa Lee and Biles, both all-around Olympic champions, were head-to-head in an Olympic final. That's never happened before either. So it was definitely one for the history books. And I'm delighted for her. And I think there's more medals to come there for sure.
You don't think she's going to retire?
I think she may, what I'd love to see, and I suppose she hasn't mentioned retiring, but what I'd love her to do, like the Olympics are in LA next, you kind of say, God, she'd be tempted to stay on. Simone could stay on and do floor and vault and beam. You know, she might do all 4 apparatus, but she could still be she'd be a huge contributor to the team, and she could still win medals. She mightn't do all round, because doing all round is hard. Like, you know, it's a lot of training, but she could pick her apparatus and still win and come back and win medals. So that's what I love to see. I don't think it's the end of her. I hope it's not the end of her, because I think people need to treasure and see what a privilege it is to see someone who can do what she can do, and so cleanly.
And in the individual events now, how many more medals do you think she can win?
I think she should win vault. I think she should win floor, absolutely, by a mile. She doesn't fall. I think she'll medal on beam. It depends whether the Chinese fall apart or not. The Chinese, unfortunately, have tendency to crumble under pressure, and they've crumbled it so far in the competition to date. So she could win a gold there, or it could be silver or bronze. And she's not in the bars final. She's first reserve. But look, it's her weakest piece, and she's still 9th in the world in bars. So that's just amazing.
Yeah, we'll let her off on that one. Look, I really look forward to that. If we get to that, there's great gymnastics to come this weekend. It really is, and phenomenal. Just today's ridiculous fact, I thought, but not ridiculous fact, just interesting bit of history from the Olympics in honor of the kayak cross race that happened for the first time today, which is great viewing by all accounts, and the fact that the lightweight double sculls, our gold medalists, our back-to-back gold medalists, won't be in the next Olympics because they're bringing in coastal rowing. I just wanted to give you a taste of some other sports that have been in the Olympics once and disappeared. Pigeon racing was in the 1900 1900 Olympics. 1900 Olympics were very good. Plunging, which was swimming without using your arms or legs. Basically, you dive into the water and see how far you get without moving after a minute. That sounded good. Motorcycle racing was in, which doesn't really seem like an Olympic sport. And Gaelic football was in 1904 in St. Louis, but that was only in an exhibition game, but it was still played at the Olympics. And my favorite, also from 1900, which was the first Olympics, and a bit mad, cannon shooting. So cannon shooting. Cannon shooting. But it wasn't just one event. There were 17 different cannon shooting events in the 1900 Olympics, which when you think there's only 14 artistic gymnastic events at the Paris Olympics this time around, that's a lot of cannon shooting. So
and was it only in the one Olympics?
Yes, it was. The 1900 Olympics had a lot of quite strange, and it was a lot of it was quite militaristic. I think there was a bit of a theme to it. You know, Europe was quite into war around that time, so natural for them to include it in the Olympics. So anyway, there you go, bringing back cannon shooting. Maybe not
every day is a school day.
Tis on this podcast, Mairead. Listen, thanks for joining us, and fingers crossed for Rhys tomorrow. It'll be amazing for our first Irish gymnastics Olympic medal, and if it was to be gold, wowee. Thanks, Mairead, and everybody else.
Thank you so much.
No worries. I'll chat to the rest of you tomorrow. Good luck. Goodbye.